Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Women in Governance and Accountancy webinar organized by the Chartered Governance and Accountancy Institute in Zimbabwe. WIGA is the women chapter of the Institute, and we are humbled to host you today. Without further ado, let me start by inviting Mrs. Kusangaya, our administrator, to give us an opening prayer. Mrs. Kusangaya. Let's bow our heads in prayer. Father, we come before your throne of grace this morning. We thank you, Lord, for the gift of life. We thank you for each and every one of us who is here present today. We also thank you for the presenters of the day. We want to thank you again, Lord, for WIGA. We want to thank you for everything that has been put in place for this seminar to be a success. We commit this seminar into your hands, O Lord, and we commit ourselves into this seminar as we hear the presentations, oh God. We pray that we will benefit from them, and we pray all this in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. I pray, amen. Amen. Thank you, Mrs. Kusangaya. Allow me to recognize the presence of Dr. Avila Goba, who is the chairperson of the Women in Governance and Accountancy chapter. I also recognize that our speakers have joined. In particular, we have Wadzanai Chitaukire. We also have Dr. Marikanda, as well as Rumbizai Matambo. And all the women and the men who have also joined us, we are truly humbled by your presence. Let me invite the chairperson, Dr. Goba, to give us opening remarks. Over to you, Dr. Goba.
Thank you so much, Tracy. And I feel humbled to be with you this morning. Good morning to you all. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all to this webinar. A special welcome goes to our representatives, Dr. Marikanda, Wadzanai Chitaukire, and Rumbidzai Matambo. We are indeed excited to note that such a good number of participants have joined us today. We are here to celebrate women and girls in our country, across the region and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in a month that we celebrate women and recognize their achievements without regard to divisions, whether national, ethnic, linguistic, cultural, economic, or political. Since those early years, International Women's Month has assumed a new global dimension for women in developed and developing countries alike. Today's webinar is running under the theme AdvanceHER, Building a Network of Leaders. It is befitting that our presenters will focus on personal empowerment, taking charge of your work, then recognizing the significance of strategic leadership for women on boards and important elements of effective leadership. The webinar, ladies and gentlemen, is also a dedication to the exceptional and dynamic roles that women are increasingly playing in various sectors. I have no doubt that we will all benefit from this interaction. The webinar also provides an opportunity to listen to ideas from professional women who have excelled in their areas of expertise. Most of you will agree with me that efforts for this recognition of women has evolved significantly over the past decade. There has been a significant increase in women assuming leadership positions, excelling in their businesses, as well as entering disciplines that were predominantly dominated by our male counterparts. We are, however, yet to attain more results. I am aware that some women have been professionally shattered in several ways. And this situation demands that we stand together as women and support each other, including sharing information. I am pleased to see our younger generations picking up the stick so confidently to stimulate our efforts as WIGA for realizing women's rights. As we come to the end of the International Women's Month, let us rejuvenate our efforts for a better world, realizing equal rights for women and girls. Finally, let's all continue to honor, respect, and adore all the amazing women in our life during this Women's Month, whether they are your mother, your wife, your daughter. Let's demonstrate our pride in their achievements and commitment to building a world free of all ills for women. Ladies and gentlemen, as I sign off, let me remind everyone of the old adage that says, educate a man, you educate a man. And educate a woman, you educate a generation. Thank you for your attention, and I trust we'll have a good experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Dr. Avila Goba. Those were really inspiring opening remarks. I'm sure that by the end of the webinar, we will all be rejuvenated and we will all go back to our workstations a different person. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a slight change to our program. We will start with a presentation from Wadzanai Chitaukire, then we'll go on to the next one by Rumbidzai Matambo, and the last one by Dr. Marikanda. Without further ado, let me introduce Wadzanai Chitaukire as we go through our webinar under the theme AdvanceHER, Building a Network of Leaders. Wadzanai's career started with the Central Bank, which is the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. She was there for 6 years in the Treasury Department, where she rose to managerial level, then joined civic society for another 5 years. She worked with the former US ambassador and pioneered a leadership academy for young people in Zimbabwe. Wadzanai joined Celebration Churches International as administrator, manager, and rose to executive director within a period of 5 years. How amazing. She held this position until she was moved to the parent organization, which is Celebration Ministries International, as the Chief Operations Officer. The organization runs 138 churches in 16 nations, a primary and high school with close to 350 students, one of the biggest conferencing facilities in the nation, a restaurant, a media company, a bookstore, a college offering Bible and business school, and lastly, a philanthropic arm called Celebrate Impact. Wadzanai sits on 4 boards and 5 committees of the various entities that she works with. She is an associate member of the Chartered Governance and Accountancy Institute in Zimbabwe, and the areas of expertise include finance, business administration, governance, and leadership. It is true that women can also do it. There she is, Wadzanai for you, who is going to give us a presentation on essential components of effective leadership. Over to you, Wadzanai. Good to have you here.
Thank you, Mrs. Mushanga. Good morning, everyone. Greetings from Addis Ababa, where I am currently this week. My assignment this morning is to share with you the key elements for effective leadership that women who are in leadership positions, as well as those who aspire to be leaders, need to know. I believe that as women, we have unique qualities that make us great leaders. However, there are also challenges that we face and that are specific to our gender. I will share some of the things that I've learned throughout my journey, some of the things I've experienced and understood to be key for us as women. I think we can be effective gatekeepers in the areas that we've been assigned to lead. I believe that we have the potential as women. So since I'm speaking to women and the men that have joined, I decided to make this very relational and very practical and less theoretical. I will share 10 points, focusing more 5 on the easy leadership aspects. Then I'll get on to the difficult aspects of leadership for us as women. I do believe that effective leadership is necessary to drive any organization to succeed. So my first point in terms of the positive things about leadership, you need to be authentic to be a leader. Give yourself permission to be who you are. My mentor always says to me, find your own footing. Show up as your genuine self. I've seen people who copy other people's leadership styles to the point of losing the essence of who they are. I believe that you need to choose to believe that you were created uniquely, and in that uniqueness lies the different gifts that you were born with that will solve some of the problems in this world. That's the first one, be authentic. Then number 2, there's something called the confidence gap. I think I discovered this because I'm a young woman and I've been a leader in most of the aspects of my career. The confidence gap is a term that's coined by Dr. Russ Harris, and it attempts to explain some of the underlying psychological reasons why men would traditionally outperform women in the workplace. The key factor is essentially confidence or lack of it. So there are enough barriers for women in leadership without you being your own barrier. So I want to focus on this one. Do not be your own barrier. Find out what limits your confidence. Is it how you speak? Is it how you dress? Is it an aspect of qualification and education? Seek mentorship on those areas that create that confidence gap you have and solve it. So confidence is quite key to any type of leadership. Confident leaders are generally happier. They have healthy relationships both in the organization and outside the workplace. Confident women leaders are open to feedback. And not only that, they also recognize and value the successes of others. They also celebrate the successes of other women. So there's a core, ladies, to confidence. My third point this morning is you need to learn to occasionally give yourself a break. Regardless of the pressures, the judgments, and everything that's happening around you, if you are in leadership or you inspire to be in leadership, give yourself, I call it breathing room. There will always be those who will be detractors of what you're trying to do. There will always be people who will not agree with everything that you are doing. So don't go around collecting grudges, just get on with it. Be a woman on a mission and get on with it. Be careful of distractions that lead to distraction. So be careful of distractions, that's distractation, distractions that lead to distraction, which is spelled destruction. My fourth point, one of my favorite women leaders who just stepped down is the former New Zealand Prime Minister. She said in one of the documentaries I watched about her, you don't always have to lead from the front. always being in front of the pack, but sometimes from the middle to rally your team forward. I think I found this as one of my strengths. I relate with the people I lead. I'm not always in the front, but sometimes I'm right there in the middle of the team, rallying people forward, helping people achieve what they need to achieve. I understand the value of supporting the people that I lead. I know most women would want to exercise their authority, be seen in the front, leading and producing results and driving the organization. But I do believe that one of the greatest strengths in leadership is empathy and kindness. So stop every once in a while and develop genuine connections with people, build people as well. Our vision at Celebration Ministries International is building people, building dreams, and building the kingdom of God. So I stop every now and then to ensure that in my journey as a leader, I'm also building people. I'm not just walking alone. You can be a leader and you turn and behind you there's no one. I want to always ensure that there are people behind me who I'm growing with, who I'm also pushing forward and encouraging in my walk. Then I'll move on to number 5. Cultivate a personal culture of seeking wholeness. This is giving time to the small and the big things that refill you when you're emptied. I think as women, we play different roles in society. We are mothers, we are sisters, we are aunties, we are all these things. And then when you become a leader, it becomes even more because it sucks you in. There's so much that you're working on that you want to achieve. So I take time every so often to do things that fill me up when I feel like I'm emptied. I travel. The reason I'm in Addis Ababa is no business, but just resting. I read, I study, I write, I do different things that help me to ensure that I'm not spent. So those are the 5 things that I wanted you to get first. I think they seem somewhat easy. So part 2 now, I'm speaking into tough leadership situations and what I've learned, what I've experienced, and what I've done. The first one is I've learned to attack ideas, not people. The most valuable thing on earth is people. That's my personal belief. And I've learned to try and live at peace with all men. In leadership, there are good ideas and bad ideas. As for people and how bad they can be, I've left that to the one who created them. I'm a Christian, so one of my favorite Bible verse is, "Let my speech be seasoned as with salt, so that I may know how to answer each man." So I take time to just focus on issues. What is the issue we're dealing with? As opposed to people and the person, how bad the person is or what they're trying to do. If your focus is the issue, if your focus is the task, if your focus is the goal, you'll find that all these things will not distract you. Remember, I said earlier, distractions that lead to distraction. So attack ideas, not people. The second one is not all days are going to be great days. So don't pretend it's easy and kill yourself with pressure while at it. Acknowledge your bad days and maybe do this with your trusted circle. Have a go-to place. Recharge each time. Speak to someone. There's a lot of mental health now in the workplace. There's a lot of mental health issues with people in society in general. And this is happening because we don't have a safe place where we air out what we're going through on those bad days. So I think find your safe space where you can seek help when things are not going so well. The third one I will say is this one has been one of my biggest challenges. I think as women, most of us are probably our worst critics. And sometimes I think you've just got to learn to stop listening to yourself too much. Surround yourself with positivity. Read positive things. You are never going to lead like a man, that I can tell you. So be you. Most of us women look at our deficits rather than what we're good at. We focus on what we failed as opposed to focusing on what we've achieved. So my message to you today, I think I'm speaking to someone here. Stop second guessing yourself. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Stop criticizing yourself so much. Just give yourself a, you know what, I'm doing it, I'm doing the best I can, and keep moving. Keep moving. The fourth thing that I'll speak about is where it comes to taking risks and moving forward. Take risks. Own your mistakes when you do take risks and fail, and learn from those mistakes. I read something, I think, that there was a research done that showed that leaders who take risks are actually more likely to be positively perceived by their employees, regardless of whether they succeed or not. Interesting, hey? The last, which is the fifth, is do not be emotional. I think women can be emotional beings. We tend to get emotional in the workplace. We lose our cool and everything just becomes, all over the place. Exercise habits such as, exercising, going to the gym, meditating, prayer, these things instill more stability in your day-to-day work in leadership and help you to bring more emotional balance and overall. So what I do is when things get really heated, I write my emotional emails to whoever, but I don't send. I delete them. So write the email, but don't send it, delete it. Or sometimes I've learned not to be too quick to speak. I think it's also in my personality. I don't speak too quick. I ponder and process things before I speak. So I sleep on things. I'll just say to myself, okay, I'll sleep on this. I'll process this. I'll think through this. And by doing that, you'll find that the next morning, everything is a bit better than it was the day before. So sleep on things and learn to put what we call the pause. It's key to maintaining your sobriety. Just put a pause and say, okay, I'll put a pause and I'll get on this tomorrow. So I want to conclude by saying there are many women who joined this webinar today. I need you to ask yourself, who are you? Who are you really? And what gives you joy? What do you care about? There's so many women who are going about working and doing things that they don't enjoy, that they are not joyful about, and they're stuck in a career or stuck in a place just because society and people around us say it's good. My personal journey at the Reserve Bank was, my family celebrated, wow, you're working for the central bank. But I didn't, for the 5 years I worked there, I loved my work and what I was doing. But as I began to discover and journey on discovering who I am, I realized that as much as I was fulfilled in what I was doing, that was not who I was. I wanted to work with people. I wanted to help people. I felt that I had been called to work more with people than with money. At the Reserve Bank, we work more with money than with people. So I moved to civic society because it was a quest to fulfill that void where I felt I needed to touch people and make a difference in their lives. So I worked with women across the country who travel all over. I think I went to all places around the country that I'd never been and would impact young women. And I did feel satisfied doing that. But I didn't know that there was a bigger core and God wanted me to do more. So that's how I then moved to the church, where I began to now impact nations, where we would start churches in the different nations of the world, where I was involved in the setup, the administration, and all that. So my key question to you today is, who are you? What gives you joy? What do you care about? Is that what you're doing with your life? If there is a call that God has given you, or there's a place that you've been called to serve, there are always opportunities if you seek it out. So find out, take time and introspect and be who you are genuinely called to be. I'll end with a quote from Indra Nooyi. She's the former Pepsi CEO. I love this lady and I read a lot about her. She says to be a leader is a calling. You should not do it because it's a job. It is a calling and you have to be involved in it with your head, your heart, and your hands. You have to love what you do. And if you're not willing to get into leadership in that way, there is no point getting into it. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Over to you, Mrs. Mushonga.
Thank you, Wadanai. I'll give you a round of applause. And ladies and gentlemen, where you are, can you give a round of applause to our presenter, Wadanai? This was quite inspiring, quite practical for us. You know, I'm sure all of us have been inspired. I'm actually asking myself, who am I? And whether I can manage to maintain the sobriety like what Danai indicated. She touched on several issues involving issues such as we need to maintain our emotional balance. Let's go to the gym, ladies. Let's meditate. Let's pray so that we keep balanced wherever we assist with situations, whether in the workplace, in church, society. We handle a lot. Remember, my chairman said that when you educate a woman, you've educated a generation. So we have so many things which are behind us. And let's always remember to check behind us when we are leaders so that we ensure that people are following us. Stay there, Wadanai, for a few questions that we are seeing on the chat platform. But other messages are indicating that that was awesome. Thank you very much. Inspirational, excellent presentation, Wadanai. People are impressed and they've been challenged and learned a lot. Thanks to Wadanai. There is a question for you, Wadanai. What rights do you feel women lack? Where are the barriers that you feel are locking them from the economic system? I'll repeat the question. What rights do you feel women lack? Where are the barriers that you feel are locking them from the economic system? That's a question that I've seen.
Okay, I'll start with the second. There were two questions there. One concerning the rights, which I'm not quite sure about exactly what they're asking. But the second one, where they're saying, what are the barriers to women getting into the economic system? I think the confidence gap has a lot. Ladies, the confidence gap has a lot that we can explore and grow into. In terms of the economic system, I have seen very few women who are into investments and just, startups and getting things that really empower women to be who they are. I was privileged many years ago to meet Dr. Mandas Marikanda. She's speaking today, and I'm so honored to be speaking alongside her. And I think she challenged me so much in terms of just as a young woman doing things that grow your per capita income and just begin to do things that that as a young woman, these things are growing you and growing your finances. I think that's one of the ways we can get into the economic system. Be confident enough to get into investments, to do things that empower you. We tend to want to rely more on men taking care of us, but I think we can do it. So it's confidence. That's the answer I have. Then the one concerning the rights, I didn't quite.
I think we lost Wadanai a bit. I'll hand over the question to her, and we will actually send it via all our social platforms as well as our main communication lines. She seems to be having network problems. She's in Addis Ababa, where she's relaxing. We need to do that as women leaders so that at least we give ourselves time to breathe, like she indicated. I'm also seeing so many comments on the chat. She said there is somebody saying, inspirational, Wadzi, thank you so much. This is amazing, Wadanai, keep it up. Short and precise. I learned a lot. Excellent presentation. So I'm actually seeing good comments for Wadanai. Somebody's saying, I've seen a lot of women who are so apologetic in the workplace, who believe that men should be the leaders and would not dare to challenge where they need to. So yeah, let's work on our confidence, ladies. There you go. Ladies, we can do it. Work on your confidence. Be yourself and don't copy others like what Zanai indicated. We must read, we must study, and stop feeling sorry for ourselves. Keep moving and never stop. So I'm just seeing good comments here. I will not waste your time, ladies and gentlemen. I'll move on to the next presenter, who is Rumbizai Matambo. She'll be presenting on achieving personal empowerment, taking charge of your work. I'll just introduce her before she comes to the platform. Rumbizai is a legal practitioner practicing at the firm Dube Manikai and Wacha, popularly known as DMH, where she is the partner in charge of conveyancing, securitization, and real estate development unit of the firm. She is also a member of the executive committee, which manages the firm. Rumbizai is in the 19th year of practice, and the area of expertise is commercial law, with emphasis on debt structuring, trade finance, mortgage finance, securitization, and property. You can see that the women can actually do it as well. She has been a member of the Council of the Law Society of Zimbabwe since 2019 and ascended to vice presidency in February 2021. In January 2023, she was elected to be president of the Law Society, becoming the third woman to hold the position since the society's inception. She served on and chaired various committees of the council during her tenure. Rumbizai also serves on the FBC Reinsurance Limited board as a non-executive director, where she chairs the board's risk management committee. She has over the years served as an advisor, trustee, and director on different non-profit, charitable, and religious organizations. Every leadership position occupied by Rumbi has been considered both an honor and a challenge to her. She focuses on learning as well as serving as best as she can. Her advice to young women looking to pursue a professional career is the key. I'll take that again. Her advice to young women looking to pursue a professional career is the key to success is always hard work. There are many challenges faced by women, such as having to juggle multiple roles on the domestic and professional front and having to deal with prejudice and bias from their male counterparts. The key to overcoming them is blocking the negative while accepting constructive criticism and working even harder than expected. Not forgetting to love yourself by prioritizing your physical and mental health. That's a mouthful for Rumbizai. You can see that she is a woman who has been there, and I can't really wait to hear from her. I'm informed that Rumbi has traveled, but we feel honored to get a representation from Dube Manikai and Wacha. We're going to get the presentation by Rumbi from Petronella. Over to you, Petronella.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Petronella Punye. I'm standing in for Rumbi this morning. She is not able to be with us today, but she has asked me to present what she had written down for this meeting. So I hope I'll do justice to what she wrote, and I do hope that I can present it how she would have wanted to present it. Directors for 4 years, and all those 4 years I've worked under the guidance of Rumbi. So I'll start with the presentation. The title is Achieving Personal Empowerment, Taking Charge of Your Work. Personal governance can be broadly defined as a set of rules and values that guide and regulate you in life. This may be influenced by your morals, values, education, background, ethics, and culture. The rules are not static and may change with time due to maturity or a change in personal circumstances, but your adherence to them must be constant. One must know oneself in order to succeed in life. So the rules and values would change due to changes in life. That would be your rise through the ranks, whether you're now married, perhaps when you started, you're not married. So those will change, but how we adhere to them should not change. And this is really what makes the essence of who we are as a person in our personal lives and in our work lives. So what are some of the signs of ineffective or lack of personal governance? The first one would be confusion regarding one's career path or goals. This would probably be contributed by a lack of vision of where one wants to go 5 years. So when there's confusion there, one might find that it's not going the way they wanted to go. Another sign would be tardiness, missed deadlines, work that is done hurriedly, dissatisfied clients or colleagues, and all of this shows a lack of personal governance somewhere. And as much as this would affect, obviously, your work life, it also affects your personal life, as sometimes you become stressed because you feel like everything is out of control and you're not doing anything right. So a person who doesn't practice good personal governance will also struggle. We would tend to struggle in interpersonal relationships, as people wouldn't know who you are and what you stand for. And this is also an indication where someone doesn't know who they are themselves. So you can't portray who you are to other people. How would one establish and practice self-governance? So the first thing to do would be to set reasonable goals and to make a plan on how to achieve those goals. So this, you would need to know what it is that you can do and you target that. So when you set your goals, it's good to be over ambitious sometimes, but sometimes you also need to be realistic, especially if you're starting out and you're trying to set things right. What is it that you can do and how do you do it? You need to plan to achieve that goal. So you find the more you achieve those goals, the more confident you become. So we would need to be patient with ourselves. I know most women, we tend to be perfectionists and you want to get it right the first time, but be patient. You might miss your target the first few times, but you find as you perfect your plan on how to achieve the goals, those goals become more attainable. Rome wasn't built in a day, so be patient with yourself and be kind to yourself as well. Take time each day or at the start of the week, month, or year to consider and take note of all the issues that are important to you and the values that you cherish. So this one is very important because it helps you to plan and it also guides your steps as you aim to achieve your goals. Set goals and behavioral patterns that will assist you in maintaining those values and delivering on those goals that you have set. So for example, you might want to wake up 15 minutes earlier to reflect on the tasks of the day, being disciplined about your eating and drinking habits, and just watching what you do. So Rumbi here says, I don't eat after 6 p.m. because it disrupts my sleep and I become ineffective the following day. Personally, I don't eat after 8 p.m. It's a bit later than Ruby, but it's very important. I know lately there's this thing of 5 a.m. club or 4 a.m. club. It seems sometimes a bit unattainable or overambitious, but it is a good way to start your day because it gives you time to clear your head as you plan for your work, your home, especially those who are mothers and wives, so that you plan out your day because everything is anchored on you. And if you don't plan, sometimes things tend to go out of control. Remind yourself constantly of the things that matter to you and of the things that add value to your life and that contribute to the tenets of your own personal governance. This also literally comes down to knowing what it is, who you are, and what it is that you want and want to achieve. as you go through your life. Once you have had a broad understanding of the issues that contribute to your personal governance, you now interpret them and put them into action. So practicing self-governance, the first step would be planning ahead. For example, have an organized life. So this one, you have to organize everything, especially for working mothers. This one is very important. You have your work diary, you have your, depending on how many children you have, you've got your children's diaries, perhaps they're at different schools, they're different functions and activities. You also have family. So you've got social functions, someone's having a party, there's a memorial on some weekend, and there are also other social commitments. Perhaps you're involved in your local community group, perhaps you're involved in church. So you would need to diarize all of that. One thing you can do is to have one master calendar, which includes family, work, and social commitments. And that way you are not late for anything, you're not underprepared for anything, and you are present for those who you are meeting. So diarizing is very important. So you don't have to run around trying to now squeeze in, perhaps you've forgotten about a child's play or there's a sports day. It's very important to be present for all of these things. And I know sometimes it's a lot of pressure on women, and especially women in positions, to juggle everything, but diarizing everything actually helps. So start your day with a to-do list. So every day from the diary, you look at your diary, what it is that's on the diary, and then you make your to-do list. Personally, one thing that Rumbi has taught us, I think, in the firm is to have a little notebook that you literally write whatever tasks you have to, whether it's a file or anything that it is that you're doing, and you have a separate one for what if you have social engagements or you have to pick up your child at a certain time, just put a sticky note and to remind yourself that you have to do it. And another thing, this one is very important, seek and accept help where you need it, and where possible, pay for additional assistance and help. You are not Superwoman. This one, Rumbi always preaches about it, and one of the things she has always said to me is, look, if you know that during the weekends you want to rest, but your maid has to go off, why don't you pay extra for someone to cover that time on the weekend? So you actually take time for yourself, you rest so that you are more efficient at work. Perhaps the maid has gone off during the holidays or you're traveling, but you know you need help because you're tired. Pay for the extra help. If it's in the office and you know that you perhaps don't have a professional assistant or someone to help you with the filing and organizing your day, look at the budget and see if some money cannot be allocated for the hiring of someone to help you. We are not superwomen. As women, sometimes we want to do it all, but sometimes we need help, and it's always good to seek and accept help for when we need it. Being as well, you need to take care of yourself mentally, physical, and spiritual. Eat well, exercise, rest, socialize, and do whatever spiritual rituals or practices that ease and calm your mind. So it's very important. This is self-care, just taking time out for yourself to just feel human again, because you wear so many hats at home. You're a mom, at work you are the MD or the CEO, you are the organization and you're carrying a whole load. And sometimes that can lead to you forgetting who you are. You are also a human being. Take time out to get your hair done, go to the salon, go to the spa, get your nails done, get a massage, and make it a ritual, a self-care ritual. Know every 2 weeks or every month you're doing these things for yourself. It really helps you to put you in a space where you are more effective, because once you are happy and you feel settled, you are able to do more. Avoid negative thoughts and unnecessary negativity. This one is very important. Learn to walk away from toxic relationships. And yeah, this one is very important. You need to stay in a positive space. And also that starts with knowing what your limits are. because a lot of us, we just accept things. You are a yes woman, and some of it is really toxic. So you need to walk away from that. If someone is pulling you down, a situation is pulling you down, you should learn to say no and walk away and keep your peace. But to do that, you would also need to know your limits.
Petronella? Petronella, are you
That
there?
you've got.
Oh, we had lost you for a second. You can go ahead.
Hi, Tracy.
Okay, we had lost you for a second. Please go ahead.
Okay. And which parts did you lose me?
Where you were talking about staying away from toxic relationships.
Okay. So the next step would be to devise and practice stress coping mechanisms. So this would come from knowing your boundaries and knowing your limits, what it is that stresses you out. Perhaps these are situations that are at work or within your personal life. You need to have boundaries. What it is that stresses you out, what it is that really gets you in a space where you are not functioning the way you should be. And once you have realized those stressors, you set boundaries and you also devise stress coping mechanisms. We can't avoid all stresses in life, and it's not all situations that we can walk away from. And it is those situations you can't always walk away from that you'd need to devise stress coping mechanisms. So if you need a stress ball in your office, perhaps you've had a very tough meeting and you just need an outlet, then have a stress ball, some Rubik's cubes to just sort it out and to just get your mind to calm down. If you need to go to the gym, you need to take up boxing, whatever it is, to just let the stress out, because building in the stress is not healthy mentally, also physically as well. It takes a toll on you physically. Listen to your body and take time to heal and feeling and wow. It's been just a very stressful stretch where you've been working long hours, you barely have time to eat or drink water. You need to take time out after that to just let your body heal and just to recuperate from that stressful moment. And a lot of us ladies, I know, we wait until we can't wake up or until you're really down and you're admitted in hospital. That's that time you could take 2 days away whilst you're able to manage than taking a week off when you're unable to do anything and the work just piles up again. So it's always good to be proactive than reactive. So take care of yourself. If you feel you're feeling unwell, it's okay to take time off. You're not superhuman. So taking charge of your work. Once you have governance, you are now able to produce a product that can take charge of your work. So you become more effective, you become more efficient, you're meeting your deadlines, you've got happy clients, you've got happy employees, you've got happy colleagues, and your relationships become balanced. Because of your discipline, values, and ethos, you are able to effectively deliver at work as a professional. And it's always good to work hard and smart. So sometimes working hard without working smart is not helpful. And a part of working smart is delegating tasks. It's not necessary for you to do everything by yourself. You need to delegate. There are small tasks that you can delegate to perhaps your subordinates, and then you supervise. That will give you the chance to actually focus on the work that you need to focus on and for you to see areas that you can improve on, which would be more effective for the organization that you are in. And seek knowledge. Learning is continuing and is not a once-off. So for this one, it's very important to keep refreshing yourself and keeping up to date with the changes in whatever field you're in. So if you're in marketing, read an article a day, perhaps at the end of the day or when you're just relaxed. Just read and see what is happening in the world, what are the new things that are out there, and what it is that you can learn from that. Seek to understand other areas that are not within your discipline or your area of expertise. So this goes to continuing education. Be interested in other areas, not just looking at, for example, I'm interested in knowing about finance and banking. So I have this will assist you in delivering a better service to your clients. Sorry, I just lost. Okay. And apply yourself. Read and make decisions in all meetings. To take at least 48 hours before the actual deadline. And this will assist you in identifying errors and oversights. Volunteer for you have excess time, and this will be rewarding in the long run as you develop new skills. Manage your time while at work. We waste a lot of time chatting in the tea room, socializing after lunch. Lunch finishes at 2, you get back to your desk at 2:30, or we are on social media. I think social media is a big one for the younger generation, including myself, where you want to see what's happening on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, and that really eats into some of the time when you should actually be working. Then you have to meet your target for that day. So being very disciplined is important. Again, setting personal deadlines will assist you in this area. So personal experience, these are some of the things that Rumbi wanted me to share with you. One of the things that she's big on is humility. Be humble. If you're approachable and more likable, people are going to share and teach you more if you approach them with humility. Break the stereotype. Educated women are rude and arrogant. It's doing all the menial work, or it's the lady that's sweeping. Treat them all the same. Make them feel human. Just be a person who's respectful and full of humility. And be friendly and collegial. Be someone that people can walk up to and talk to. There's no need to be rude, to be arrogant, or to put barriers around ourselves. Every person you meet in your life is valuable and important, so don't be condescending. Rumbi is very big on that one, and respect, just self-respect for everyone that you meet. Forgive yourself for failure and mistakes, and accept constructive criticism when it is given. I think personally, I've struggled with this one because I'm a perfectionist as well. So you make a mistake and you feel, oh, what is it that I've done? But forgiving yourself and just moving forward. And where you get criticism, just accept it and actually see where it is that you can improve and do better next. Block out negativity and focus on the task at hand. Just do what you have to do. Just be in the zone. Compete only with yourself and not with others. Focusing on competition with others derails you from the course of your career. So there's only one you. And I think Wazanai, the first speaker, she spoke to this. We are all made unique. So you have your own role. Despite there being 100 CEOs or COOs, organizations, but there's only one you who can something in your organization that all the other people cannot do. So focus on yourself and be the best version of yourself. Don't imitate others. Yeah, and in conclusion, in order to take charge of your work, you must take charge of your life by being disciplined and organized. Be intentional in all your actions and stay focused. So that is Rumbi's number, Rumbi's email address, sorry. She would really love to take any questions, and she is available to respond. You can send them on her email address. Thank you, and wish you all the success in your endeavors. Thank you for listening.
Wow. Petronella, I thought for a moment that you were Rumbi because you were actually flowing. We didn't realize that you were in somebody else's shoes. Well done, Petronella, for taking Rumbi's presentation so well. Let's give a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. I noted a number of things from the presentation. Everything is anchored upon us women. We need to be professionals. We are mothers. So I really got a clue on how to overcome some of the things that we think cannot be achieved. Things like having a comprehensive diary, and then you scale it down to work diary, children's diaries. We forget to go for sports women because we are inundated with a lot of things. And as you get to the top, you also get more responsibilities. So let's just take some of the nuggets from this presentation, and let's get a habit of being organized. The to-do list in the morning is quite good. The sticky notes you talked about, and then to accept help is really essential. To delegate some of the tasks, because we are not superhuman. We are not a superwoman, though at times we tend to think that we can do it all. We need to practice the self-governance that was talked about. I'm seeing a lot of comments here, which are exciting. Thank you. Yes, Petronella deserves a huge hand for doing so well. Thank you so much, Petronella. We'll also send the slides. Petronella will give us the slides. People are talking about the slides here. And women, we need to avoid negative thoughts and accept constructive criticism as well. I loved it. My friend at the workplace, she always has the stress ball in her office. So I'm going to steal it from her, or she's going to buy me one so that I get relieved of some of the stresses that we go through on a daily basis as professionals, as mothers, whoever we represent in society. Ladies, we've been challenged again to continuously learn, reading the books and advancing our knowledge. Then we need to be humble. The humility is required, especially as you get to the top. You need to treat everyone the same, and we mustn't be rude. Being known as that woman who is very rude, we need to be practical with our approaches. Then we must also practice self-respect. Thank you very much, Petronella. Those who have questions, can you send them through our chat so that we can channel them to Rumbi? Rumbi will gladly answer all our questions. But once again, Petronella, you did well. The comments are positive. Some are saying, I love what the presentation is all about. It's practical. It is important to practice the self-governance. Then thanks, Rumbi, and let's be kind to ourselves, ladies. Then somebody said, oh yes, it is important to delegate. I agree totally. Sure, we need to be well prepared for meetings so that we don't seem to be lacking there. Then somebody says, well executed, Petronella. May I have the email address? I lost it due to network problems. We'll circulate it to all those who attended. Thank you very much once again, Petronella. It was an excellent presentation. I'll move on to the next presenter. The next presenter is Dr. Marikanda, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Zimbabwe Women's Bank, Microfinance Bank. I will go through her brief profile. Dr. Marikanda is the Chief Executive Officer of the Zimbabwe Women's Microfinance Bank. She has passion for financial inclusion for excluded communities, such as rural population and disadvantaged groups, including women. She has more than 20 years experience designing innovative financial interventions, such as group savings, implementation of developmental microfinance, innovative lending initiatives in rural communities, and is a seasoned consultant and accredited trainer for ICT and ILO, making microfinance work. She has been working with women and youths, offering practical initiatives for entrepreneurship, employability among youths and young women. Dr. Marikanda was Executive Director for Pundutso Microfinance, a World Vision partner. And as part of World Vision Fraternity, she undertook various assignments in Malawi, Mozambique, South Africa, Swaziland, and Zambia. She has a PhD in Economic Empowerment and Microfinance from Aldersgate College in the Philippines. She is the holder of an MBA with Eastern University of USA and an HRUP honors degree from the University of Zimbabwe. Dr. Marikanda is going to present on realizing the importance of strategic leadership for women on boards. She sits on several boards and is the right person to be presenting to us this morning, ladies and gentlemen who have joined us. Over to you, Dr. Marikanda. Dr. Marikanda, ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to take a 5-minute break while I check on the connectivity for Dr. Marikanda. Our marketing department, can you just play something for about 5 minutes while we check on Dr. Marikanda? Thank you for indulgence, ladies and gentlemen.
Greetings to you all. Welcome to CGI Zimbabwe Bulawayo branch. Welcome to CGI Zimbabwe Bulawayo branch. Welcome to CGI Zimbabwe Bulawayo branch.
risk management, non-compliance, and poor corporate governance, among other reasons, have led the bank failures in Zimbabwe and beyond. To enhance financial system stability, the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators in Zimbabwe has partnered with the Deposit Protection Corporation and the International Compliance Association from the United Kingdom in launching the Governance, Risk and Compliance Diploma. The diploma is tailor-made for senior staff in the financial services sector. The diploma will cover the following areas: corporate governance in financial institutions, models of supervision in the financial services sector, the role of deposit protection systems, compliance management systems in the financial services sector, regulation of the financial sector in Zimbabwe, compliance risk management in the financial services sector, and derivative pricing and financial modeling. This content will span over a course of 12 months, delivered through online lectures and workshops by certified tutors from the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators in Zimbabwe, Deposit Protection Corporation, and International Compliance Association. Candidates will be provided with learning materials including course modules, videos, case studies, and illustrations. To apply, visit www.icsaz.co.zw. Register today.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Our sincere apologies for the hiccup in connection. While we are just waiting for Dr. Marikande to settle, we just want to run down on the presentations that we got from Wadzanai and Rumbi being presented by Petronella. I see Wadzanai joined. There was a question that she was trying to address when she was disconnected. I didn't know that Ethiopia also has power problems. She had a power cut, you can imagine. So we are the same. I think we need to do something in Africa so that we are not disrupted. Wadzanai, you were answering to a question when you were dropped due to the power cut. I'll just give you a chance now to complete what you were saying. Over to you, Wadzanai.
So the second question that I had been asked had to do with women's rights. I wasn't very clear on what they really were asking.
Okay, our question was, what rights do you feel women lack? So this is a general question, which I think that can be answered from various.
Yeah, I think that as women, we kind of feel like we are limited because of our gender. But I do think that God created us with far more unique abilities to actually get into the world space and do more. So I personally don't believe that there are rights women lack. I believe that there are opportunities for women in every sphere, every sector. I think we're seeing that in the various women getting into different fields where times past you'd not have women involved in those fields. So I don't think that there are any rights that we are limited or lack from a personal perspective. I don't know if I've answered Mrs. Mushonga.
Thank you for the response, Odanai. That was a perfect response. I'm sure as women, we need to close that that mindset and have the confidence that was talked about by Wadanai in your presentation. If we have the confidence, we can break all the glass ceilings that we purport to have. We can also do whatever the men are doing out there. So in terms of the rights, I'm sure this is the time, the generation that we need to move on as women and show the world that we are also a great force to reckon with. In terms of some of the rights, I'm sure a lot has been done. You remember in your opening remarks, our chairman said that there are great strides that have been made so that we have equal opportunities, be it in the workplace, be it in schools. The women and the girls are given equal opportunities so that they have equal footing with the male counterparts. So it's just that we need to practice the initiatives that are being put to us. And then I liked the part where you indicated that part of the positive points, we need to have a breathing room for ourselves when things get tough. We must not hold the grudges and we must be careful of the detractions that lead us to distraction. Could you really talk a little bit more on that with an eye for the benefit of our audience? Because I really liked that point. And to empower whoever is joined, can you really come back to it?
Okay, so I think I was speaking about focus. I think if you want to be a woman who is a leader, you need to keep your focus. If you lose your focus, then you become distracted. So when you are distracted, then you are a candidate for distraction. So I was saying that there are a lot of distractions that lead to distraction. So it's essentially just you maintaining your focus and you being very aware of the environment that's around you and the things that are happening around you so that I personally am so quick to know when something is a distraction or something is taking me away from my goal or my focus. So it's that awareness to say, I think I'm getting carried away here, or I think I need to pivot here and keep my focus so that I can achieve what I want to achieve, as opposed to allow every distraction from family, from whatever. It can be anything. But some of these distractions are very detrimental when it comes to you as a human being and what you're trying to achieve or what you are called to do and achieve. So, yeah.
Thanks, Odanai. We will try to keep our focus and make sure that we recognize when something is a distraction to whatever our initiatives are. It's good that we have people who have experienced it and can actually relate to it. It becomes practical when you hear it from somebody who has practiced it before. Then we need to desist from being our worst critics as women. We need to surround ourselves with positivity so that we can remain afloat. I know that it's not easy. it's not easy as women to do that. How have you managed to do it, Wadzanai?
There's a book that I'm reading. I'm a Christian, but there's a book that I found really, really good. And it's a book by Robin Sharma. It's called The Monk That Sold His Ferrari. My mentor introduced me to this book. And this book actually gives you practical ways of not getting onto the rabbit trail of negativity. So you'll find that there are moments where you get into a situation and you actually feel negative about it, and you're starting to have those emotions that are just not what you want or where you want to be. And in that moment, the book has practical things that they ask you to do so that you get from that negative trail onto a positive one. So essentially, it's learning how to stop yourself. I think one of my biggest weaknesses I shared earlier is just the self-critic in me, always wanting things to be better, always wanting to perfect things, always wanting to do things right. And now I have an 8-year-old daughter, and she is exactly like me or plus. So I see it in someone else now, and I'm like, woof. But you need to get to a point where you stop yourself and you say, you know what, it's okay. I've done the best I could today, and I need to just stop and move on. Tomorrow is another day. I get a new chance to try again. So it's two-pronged. There are people who actually over criticize themselves, and then there are some people who don't even care. They have a bad day or things don't go well, and they get home and they just get on with it. I think you need to have some form of care about what's happening in your life, what you've achieved in a day, that self reflection daily. I go through that. I was coached by a lady named Eni Chipembere. She's a life coach, and she taught me the power of self-reflection and correcting your steps on a daily basis. So I kind of then swinged to the extreme, but I'm learning how to balance, and I'm learning more as I train my daughter to say it's okay to fail. It's okay to not be the top. It's okay to, try again. So I think essentially that's what I was trying to explain.
Thank you, Wadzanai. That is so practical. We need mentors, like you indicated, the coaches that walk us through some of these nuggets. And I particularly liked that you're also coaching your daughter, that it's okay to fail. Some of us women lack that. We need to actually pass the baton stick to the younger generations. Somebody's asking, can we confirm the title of the book? You said The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari.
Let me show you. I actually have a copy.
Wow, brilliant. It goes to show how organized some of these women are who are there at the top. It's quite interesting that she actually has the gadgets that she talks about. So that's the book. It's a
Robin
bestseller.
Sharma.
Yes.
Robin Sharma, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. I think this is the author of the 5 a.m. Club, but this is my personal favorite.
That's good. So you saw the book. It was a question from the audience. We need to have authors that we actually emulate as well, and the mentors and the coaches that she was talking about. This is quite good, and we tend to get ideas from these authors. She emphasized that we need to find our space as women leaders, and there were also a few of the negative, for lack of a better term, the other 5 negative ones that you talked about. You talked about taking risks and learning from mistakes. We are often ashamed from the mistakes that we make, and we become too emotional when somebody criticizes, and we don't take the positive criticism. Can you give us just a nugget of how you managed to do it, Wadzi?
Okay. I work with a lot of men, because I work in a church. Well, predominantly 90% of the pastors are men, and then you have women supporting them. I also work with a lot of men in terms of the leadership positions in the organization that I'm part of. We have an executive director for the churches who's a man. We have a principal of the school who's a man. We have a college director who's a man. So I'm surrounded by a lot of men, and I've learned that men take a lot of risks, not because they know how to do it or they are guaranteed of success, but that's how you keep things moving. So I've learned over the years to also just do it. Just go for it. So I have learned how to take risks. My boss takes a lot of risks, and we get a lot of things done in that way. Where it comes to now making mistakes, it depends with the environment that you're in. In the environment that I work in, personally, when you make a mistake and you learn from it, you're actually celebrated and you are encouraged to then try again. So I'm privileged that I work with people who inspire me and people who propel me to actually grow. My boss does that a lot. He allows me to just say, okay, so what did we learn from that, and what are we going to do differently next time? And I try to do the same also with the people that I am also working with and supporting as I lead some of the entities. One of the things I think that you mentioned is just us learning to take criticism. So it may not necessarily be your boss, but the colleagues and the people around you. I think for me, it's just the confidence gap that I spoke about. I take seriously the words that are spoken by people I know who care, people I know who are for my growth and who are supportive of what I'm doing. Yes, I do take time to listen to people who criticize. I think the lady I mentioned before, the former president of New Zealand, she says she listens more to her critics because that's how she grows. But I do it the opposite. I listen more to the positive people around me because I know they mean well and they help me to grow. Critics, I don't listen much to them because of the self-introspection that I already have, where I really over-introspect and correct myself. So I don't need to hear more. But I do take criticism well when it comes, because it doesn't affect me much. I keep doing what I'm doing and I keep going for my goal.
Thank you, Wadzi. I'm not getting any questions on our platform. From the audience, do you have any questions that you want to ask Wadzi? Because I know she has another engagement that she has to attend to in about 30 minutes, if I'm correct. Would you have any questions? Sure, you can raise your hand.
I actually need to leave because my engagement is 11:30 Ethiopian time, which is Zim time is 10:30.
10:30,
So
yes.
I actually have to leave and attend to my next engagement. But thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much to those who are listening. I think I'll also share my email address. I could also share my notes so that you can share with those who need them.
Yes, thank you very much, Wadzi. You've been a perfect presenter, and thank you for inspiring us. We were listening in, and we hope to engage you again. We know that we can abuse you, you're a member. So thank you very much, and wish you the best in your endeavors. Well done.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Wadzi. Ladies and gentlemen, there was Wadzanai for us. She's now leaving for another engagement. But like I indicated, if we have any questions that we need to channel to Wadzanai or to Rumbi, who had Petronella ably presenting on her behalf, please let's send the questions so that we can get the responses. The presentations, we're going to be circulating them so that you benefit from those presentations. When Wadzanai was talking about being celebrated for realizing a mistake, I thought about one of the movies that my children always asked me to watch. It's called Zootopia. It has a lot of nuggets that we can get as women leaders. You know, when you make mistakes, you mustn't remain down. You need to try and try again. That's the essence of that movie. And I'm encouraging all of us to watch it because there are characters in there who feel that they're underappreciated, underestimated in the workplace. So it's quite encouraging because these are some of the things that encourage us. Remember that they were telling us that we need our space, we need the holidays, and we also need to relax at the gym. While Dr. Makanda is settling, I am privileged to have some of the past presidents on the platform. I see our own chairman is the past president, Dr. Goba. Mrs. Gaga is on the platform as well. And our former international rep is also on the platform. And our VP, Ms. Lifneth Moyo, she's also on the platform. At this juncture, I don't know whether our chairman has a few words to share with us while we wait for Dr. Marikanda. If not, we will go on to the next ones, Mrs. Gaga, Ms. Kunyongana, and Ms. Moyo. Any comments before I move over to Dr. Marikanda? Anything to share?
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you so much. These ladies are mind-blowing, and it's very inspiring what they have been teaching us. I was really touched by one of the pointers which they talked about, to say, because we are very busy people, sometimes we don't listen to our bodies. We keep on going until we are down. And they've advised us that we need also to just take time to rest and have time for yourself so that you recover. Sometimes we fail to do that. We just want to do more as women. So I just want to say thank you so much for that point. That because sometimes if I take a day off, I feel like I'm doing something wrong. Yet no, it's the correct way. So really, it really helped me. I want to thank Petronella, who is representing Wazana, who spoke about that point. Thank you very much for that. And we had a lot of takeaways as women, which they've given us, which we hope we are going to practice them. We are going to put them into practice and actually improve our well-being as leaders. Thank you very much, Tracy.
Thank you, Madam Gaga. We really stretch ourselves indeed, and that's very useful. And ladies, be reminded that we need to indicate that no, we're not well, and take time off and go to the doctors, get time to recuperate so that we can perform much, much better rather than staying on until it's too late. We need to get checked now and again so that we remain healthy.
Thank you. Tracy, can I make a comment?
Yes, Madam Kunyongana.
Okay, this is Mrs. Kunyongana, a councillor of CGI and international representative. I would want to say the first comment I wanted to make was to applaud our event, the organizers, and also Tracy for having sailed this boat so well so far. We are so proud of you, madam. You're doing well, and we are hoping that going forward, we may never need to hire anyone to coordinate our functions. And to me, the major takeaway was on self-governance. Ladies, I think this is a very critical and crucial area. We also need to play after working. We need to refresh. We need to take time away. We need to diarize our issues, because I think this is where we fail to make it, because most of the things are just lumped in one plate and it's shuffling all the time, and you're not sure what you're supposed to do and when to do it. And this is the reason why we at times miss very important engagements. Thank you very much, ladies. All the presenters, I'm quite inspired. Thank you. It's a well organized event and the time is well spent. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Kunyongana. I feel really humbled by your comments. And ladies, we are being reminded to practice self-governance. We need that. I see a hand there. That's our Vice President, the current Vice President, Ms. Lifnet Moyo. Madam, you can go ahead. Miss Moyo, can you hear me? You can go ahead before we go to Dr. Marikanda.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you for such a lovely presentations from the two presenters that have already presented. That's really inspiring and equipping us women with the strengths and areas where we normally look down upon that build our strengths. I particularly loved the presentation where Wazi was talking about keeping emotional balance and focusing on positivity. Most of the times we don't really keep that emotional balance as women because we have a lot of activities that we have to do, and we normally think we are a machine. We are not. We need to keep that balance and to give ourselves a break. And when we do well, we need to pat ourselves at the back, which we normally don't do. That is really wonderful. And also from Petronilla about the diary. We know there's a diary, but do we use it effectively is the question. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. Quite inspiring, and let's keep learning from these presenters. The emotional balance is critical and essential for us so that we achieve our best. I'm happy that Dr. Marikanda has now joined. Like I indicated before, Dr. Marikanda is the Chief Executive Officer of the Zimbabwe Women's Microfinance Bank. I indicated that she has more than 20 years experience in innovative financial interventions for groups such as women in rural communities, and is also a seasoned consultant. She has worked in various countries where she undertook various assignments, that is in Malawi, Mozambique, South Africa, Swaziland, as well as Zambia. And she has a PhD in economic empowerment and microfinance from Aldersgate College in the Philippines. She's a holder of an MBA with Eastern University of USA and an honors degree from the University of Zimbabwe. Dr. Marikanda is going to present to us on realizing the importance of strategic leadership for women on boards. Dr. Marikanda, welcome to this webinar, and over to you, Dr. Marikanda.
Thank you very much. Yeah, technology happens. I just thought I could put my face just a bit for people to know that it's not a robot. I'm using Rumbi, my PS office, because my laptop, my phone, they just can't connect to the same network. And it happened immediately when you said you were going to introduce me to be a speaker. Don't you think there's something happening here?
We are glad that you are now here. We feel humbled by your presence, Doc.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, I love being humorous, and that's me. I believe life is supposed to be celebrated every day. And when people talk to me and they say, oh, apparently today I'm putting on something blingy blingy. One of the things that I believe about leading your life and being strategic in everything is you are the event. I'm just going to take off the video. I believe that I am the event every day. So I put on the clothing, whatever I put on every other day for me to boost my confidence. So thank you so much for inviting me. I listened through as our chair lady spoke, then Wadzanai, and the one who spoke on behalf of my sister lawyer. I listened through. By the point where she said, Dr. Marikanda, we are handing over to you, my mic just went, my network just dropped. So I've been frantically running around town. I should have been in the office, but this is one of the aspects of leadership, multitasking, which men can't do. It can only be done by women, but it comes with its cost. So when I was given, it's an honor to be speaking to colleagues, because I know there are men and women here. And the topic is realizing the importance of strategic leadership for women on boards. I was thinking through this, and I like to define words. Whenever I'm given a task, something to do, I normally want to analyze and dig further. What could it mean? Realizing the importance of strategic leadership for women on boards. When we talk about realizing, it's talking about awareness. So it pushed me back to think a lot about servant leadership. One of the attributes of servant leadership that I like most about is awareness. Being aware. When someone is not aware, you then realize that they have blind corners. They have areas that they have no idea how to respond to. And often it then makes them look down. Just a minute. I was getting feedback. It's someone else's office. So when we talk about awareness under servant leadership, it's talking about that intuition, that realization. When you are aware, you can then plan for success. You are not doing things impromptu. You don't jump into things that you are not so sure of the outcome. You don't start fights that you don't win. Why start a fight when you can't win it? A skill can get you into a position, but honestly, when you are on stage, what is required is more than just your CV, what you attributed there. I've been in a position where I hire people, and most of the times you are attracted to people because of what they said, how they presented themselves in an interview. But when you spend a day with them, then you realize, wow, that was a screensaver. You may not say it out of respect, but you realize where we thought we were going to get benefit, we are going to first build this person up for them to contribute to the organization. So you start to invest more in the person before they can give you the output. And that's retrogressive for any enterprise. So when we talk about realizing the importance of strategic leadership, one of the areas that I also looked at is the difference between management and leadership. But when you talk about strategic leadership, I have heard even my youngest daughter, even before she has done a university, she still thinks she can do a lot of things. But experience at times makes a difference. Being mentored. So my presentation is going to be short because I'm aware of our time now. We need to then, when we're looking at leadership on boards, we don't start on boards. We start with management. We need to build a pipeline of leaders, women leaders, as they come up. When someone tells me, when did you become a leader, a strategic leader? I often tell them it didn't start when I was a CEO. It started when I became a captain in school. It started when I became a head girl in high school. It happened when I was a team leader, even in university. Whatever role a person takes, if you don't take serious, be aware of your environment, what is expected of you. Assuming your kid, your young girl, is a captain in school, you have an opportunity of building them now. You may not necessarily be a C-suite leader. You are not a CEO anyway, but any woman, any person, because you're leading yourself, you are in a position now to lead someone. So we have to create a pipeline. Number one, we have to sustain the pipeline. By creating a pipeline, this is where I'm saying it's only up here. There are fewer people in leadership. By virtue of the triangle of leadership, there should honestly be fewer people at the top. We can't do the inverse of it. But we simply say we wanted more women in those particular roles of responsibility. So when we are creating a pipeline, these are the few things that I'm practically looking at. When I get an opportunity of talking to a young girl, I would like her to acclimatize, to appreciate who she is. You can't expect the world to be celebrating you always. Yes, we have grown them to be princesses wherever they are, but we need them to grow the thick skin of receiving criticism and working on that criticism in a positive way. You can't expect your daughter to go into a corner to sulk, to scream because they have failed. We need to train them to know that there is profit and loss in business. When this is a bookkeeping, elementary bookkeeping, there is profit and loss. And in life, you can win or you can lose. Yes, we want to sharpen them to win, but we have flawed people. When we have people who would not realize that someone can lead ahead of them. If you are competing for a position, someone will take it up. It may be you if you're prepared, but if it's not you, you can't pull the other person down. Clap hands for them and encourage them to go on. We are already building someone in the pipeline for leadership, for strategic leadership. When we're talking about creating the pipeline, I know someone who here would then argue and say, yes, I'm a secretary somewhere, but I want to sit on a board. One of the biggest experiences and challenges that I've experienced is you can't advise where you have not been. So if you have never been in a strategic position in your life, whether in your company, at your garden place, in your church, or wherever, and you jump the ladder and you take on the role of being the board member for Delta, for instance, they will assume because you've come, you know what you are supposed to do. So you'll be held accountable. This is at the point where I say, before you sit on a board, as they are about to appoint you, check your expertise. What do you bring onto that board? If I've been a branch manager, the highest level I've ever been was a branch manager, and you make me a board chair of a financial institution, which has got branches, which has got regions, and which has got the board and the rest. Normally, I will slide back to my level of intelligence. So you end up with board members who do not realize that at strategic level, we don't delve into management issues. Your role, you are so appetized by petty issues, the issues that happen in the organization. A board member is someone who is well respected. You don't necessarily need to be an engineer to be on a board of an engineering firm. At that strategic level, you need to dissect and know what are strategic questions and what are management questions. So as long as you continue to slide, which has been one of my challenges that I've met with a few sisters, when you sit, you get so motivated. Remember, we're emotional. We stick on something. If you are good with numbers, you become the accountant and you want to challenge the CFO or the COO of that company and you want to match them. By being a board member, you are not there to be the best that there is. You are there to guide. You are there to understand the direction of where that organization is going so that you represent the interests of the shareholder. Excellence in that organization. So you ask strategic questions. What are we supposed to achieve? You don't delve into management matters. When you stampede and step on managerial issues, that makes you a poor strategic leader. When they want to recommend you to another board, you would be surprised they don't pick my Marikanda. She's like lightning. She gets onto a board once and she never goes to another board. Even those who want to refer you, they struggle because behind the scenes, people talk about what you do and what you don't do, what you don't do well. So you need to know your vulnerabilities. If you are at that management level, start to think big. Read about governance. Corporate governance is not about management. And when you are a board member, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to antagonize yourself with management. It's the thinking that we often have in unionized places where you feel like we are them and we need to be fighting them. You are not hired to hire and fire. Come and give direction. I'm giving bones here. So the issues that I'm talking about now, I'm already talking about how you sustain yourself. When you are on a board, study that institution. When a board pack is given to you, read through and through, don't scat through. Ask intelligent questions in the board meeting. Contribute positively. When everyone else is fighting someone, be the pacifier. Blessed are those who bring peace. I often take my father's word and I've taken it to heart. So one of the things that I found amongst, sorry to say that, but when if someone is appointed prematurely to strategic leadership, you tend to expose yourself and you embarrass yourself. So before you embarrass yourself, sit there and say, I'm going to learn. So there's this power that I would want anyone, one of us as we sit on boards to take, the power of emulation. Emulate those who are good board members. There's nothing wrong with going into a board meeting, not contributing anything but moving emotion. It is okay until you learn the ropes. Then number two, there's the power of mentorship. Find someone to mentor you. If you are not yet there, even if you are there, learn from others. Then number three, even those who are there, iron sharpens iron. There is the power of association. Associate yourself with people who are knowledgeable, who bring positive energy, like what has been shared by the others. Check what you bring on board. You must be a valuable asset, not negative asset. There are others who come. When you find staff members coming to you, the cliques, they are relying on you, you are failing in your strategic leadership role. So women, we need to do it better because leadership is influence. And as we sit on boards as women, we bring what men do not bring. They bring machoism. We bring more than machoism. I can be machoistic, but I am empathetic. I relate with people well, but still affirm what I want to stand for. I'm assertive. I will stand for what I stand for. It's not about muscles, bakera. You don't need that. No, you just need the weight of the mind. And women are the best for this. Know your strength. There's nothing wrong in asking confidant, where am I right now? How can you help me? Let's avoid unnecessary quarrels, like I've been said before. Why did we benefit? We actually benefit more from working with each other. Those are the ways that I can say I really try to sum up everything that I could put together. But let's start to see board members from high school. By the time they get to being a CEO, a manager who can be appointed on boards, only take a post when you know you do better. Don't multiply your weakness around for many people to know. So improve yourself. With those words, thank you so much for having me on board.
Thank you very much, Dr. Marikanda. Can you stay on while we take questions? But I'm sure most of us have been inspired by your presentation. I'm seeing very good comments on the platform. Some people are saying powerful. I don't want to be the screensaver. Board members should not just discuss teas and biscuits. No. So they are saying that they don't discuss petty issues like you indicated. So that's a good nugget. Somebody's saying the wisdom in this is very powerful, and take time to learn and associate with knowledgeable people. Straight to the point. Thank you, Doc. That was too deep. Thank you. A very enlightening presentation. I particularly liked that you summed it up, saying that you like the servant leadership quality. You plan for success, and you are aware of how other people feel. And you don't just need a CV to be a leader. You need to have what it takes. So that was a very good nugget for all of us. And you don't just become a leader. It starts from even the early stages, such as being a head girl from school, a captain, a team leader, being a change and playing various roles. So that's good. Somebody's saying they like that you should not take a role unless you can add value to it. Thank you. This is powerful. People have learned a lot. Iron sharpens iron. Thank you, Doc, for that. Thank you so much, Doc. That was so powerful. Thank you, Doc, for the clarity on boards. Thank you. Powerful presentations. But there's a particular question that I'm seeing here. Is it the business of board members to question, say, some figures in financial statements? I'll take that question again. Is it the business of the board members to question, say, some figures in the financial statements? Doc, would you care to answer that one?
Yeah, definitely it is. We have a responsibility of getting accurate presentation. The only difference, or what can go south with asking a question, is where you feel like, now I've gotten this guy in his wrong footing, and you ask a question like, you see, CFO, can you calculate this number? I've calculated it. I've realized it's wrong according to this principle and that principle. You are pitting yourself against them. The right question would be, can you check on this amount in terms of, there's a way of presenting that leaves your management executive with dignity in place. And the way we ask those questions, you'll still get the same results. They'll still have to work on it. Say, no, the ones you ask, they know. They know you have noted that there's an error. And if they are wise and educated and mentored, they'll say, definitely, I think there's a gap here. Would you allow me to have a look at it? We are humans. We can make mistakes. Allow them, if they make a mistake, even if it's material, they'll go and correct. It's a board meeting, yes, but you are not there to hire and fire immediately. Mentor your executives in the process. And one thing that I found on the different boards that I've sat on, I have amassed another network of friends and colleagues who speak for me in other places that ordinarily no one would have spoken for me, because I played a role and covered their shame with the proper way of presenting. I'm not saying I'm the best, but I've learned from being, I'm very vocal. I speak what I would want, but I've learned over the years that I could do that, but I lose people in the process. But if I then ask properly, even my CFO, he comes with the report instead of throwing it through the window and saying, showing that I'm the CEO here. I'll just say, no, I've just worked on this. If I'm not so sure, I'll get a third eye to look for me. And then when I come back, I don't say, so-and-so has told me this. I'll just say, if you go and check this number, it's supposed to be like this, like this, like this. That gives you homework, and you will respect me along the way.
Thank you, Doc, for that response. I'm sure you've been answered. I also need to add just a little bit. Doc was saying that you ask in a positive manner. You don't need to ask aggressively. You're actually guiding the people, and they actually know that you go through these documents and you are assertive and you note the kind of mistakes so that they actually grow. You are contributing positively and giving directions to the management. Then we actually learn from these things when we get those positive criticisms. On the chat platform, okay, that has been answered. The person is saying that thank you for the response, Dr. Marikanda. I really particularly liked your quote in Shona, chinofa chichirwa ingwe, munhu anotsvaga rugare nevamwe. So this is good for board members. Tinenge tisingatsvagi zvekurwa mumaboardrooms umu, asi tinenge tichitsvaga rugare, and we need to understand really where we need clarification, and our role is to guide. There are no more questions on the platform, so it means that people have been inspired. It was a very clear presentation with a lot of practicality in it. If there are no other questions, I see that our CEO for the Chartered Governance and Accountancy Institute in Zimbabwe is also among the people who are on the webinar. CEO, Dr. Gomera, do you have any few words to say regarding the presentation today? I know it was practically for women, but we are really humbled to have gentlemen who have also joined. Over to you, CEO, if you can hear me. Dr. Gomera? Okay, I'm sure he's trying to get his gadgets well. He's actually on a business trip to Gweru today, so I'm sure he will join us. Do we have any other questions for Dr. Marikanda? Especially our WIGA committee, the past presidents, any words for Dr. Marikanda's presentation? While we are waiting, I also liked the aspect of appreciating who you are. All the three presenters touched on it. Dr. Marikanda also said that, but you also need to grow the thick skin because you must not be taken advantage of. Women, as women, there are certain instances where people want to take advantage of you being a woman, but we're not saying that when you grow that thick skin, then you become arrogant. But Dr. Marikanda indicated that we bring more machoism into the boards, but we are also empathetic and we are assertive. So while we are trying to bring the machoism, let's do it with dignity. And as women, I know we can do it. Dr. Gomera, are you with us?
Hi, Tracy.
Yes, Doc. I was just saying that we are about to wind up. Do you have any comments for our presenters, any contributions to our delegates? We have over 145 delegates who have joined us today. Over to you, Dr. Gomer.
Thank you, Tracy. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear, Dr. Gomer.
Oh, excellent. I was supposed to be behind the scenes.
Dr. Gomera, you're now on mute. Dr. Gomera, you are muted. If you could unmute. If you can hear me, Dr. Gomera, you are on mute. We can't hear you. I'll go through the other comments that are coming in. This was very inspirational, and it has given some of us a good perspective to believe in ourselves in these high positions. Dr. Gomera, you are now unmuted. We didn't hear anything, so you can start.
Thank you, Tracy. I was saying I'm so pleased that the webinar has gone on well, and kudos to all of you from the WIGA team, Women in Governance and Accountants. As the Institute, I think the gap that we're trying to cover has now been covered, and we can only wish you well as you progress with mentoring our membership from the female set, and certainly also to thank the facilitators. We were behind the scenes. I was not supposed to actually be partaking in this, but I'm glad that I did, because I actually took a few nuggets. Even if even a man, there's certain things we figure out. So thank you very much, and your team. Thank you and both for hard work. Thanks. Just explain nutrition and that this.
Dr. Gomera?
Yeah, thank you, Tracy. You go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc. Thank you very much. Participants, you heard from Dr. Gomera that the Chartered Governance and Accountancy Institute in Zimbabwe appreciates the time that you've given to join this webinar organized by the Women in Governance and Accountancy, which is a chapter for women in the organization. And he also appreciates all the presenters as well as the facilitators who were working behind the scenes. I don't see any other question, but somebody's saying that can't think of an intelligent question to ask, but a profound presentation. Thank you, Dr. Marikanda. And then thank you, Dr. Marikanda. I learned a lot in those few minutes of your presentation. I've been warned not to start a war if we are not going to win. So never start a war when you know that you're not going to win it. We have been given a lot of knowledge from people who are actually in it. So it's practical. At this moment, allow me to thank all of you for joining us today to give us our vote of thanks and closing remarks. We have our Vice President, who is Miss Leafnet Moyo, who is among us. Miss Moyo, may I ask you to give us the closing remarks and a vote of thanks. Over to you, Miss Moyo.
Thank you, Tracy. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Madam. Please go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I'm checking the gadgets. You never know, you can get cut off at the last minute. Okay, thank you so much. Wow, what a wonderful webinar. So inspiring, so insightful. Thank you so much. I want to thank our coordinator, thank the organizers of the WIGA webinar. I want to thank the presenters for such wonderful and empowering information for women. I want to thank everyone who is on the platform today. you would agree with me that it was worth our time, whoever is on this platform today. There's a lot of takeaways that we got from the presenters. There's the issue of confidence that came out so strongly. Most of the time, we find women lacking confidence. Even in instances where we have an upper hand, we lack confidence. There's the issue of positivism, that we should always stay positive, focus more on positive areas than on the negative. There's the issue of knowing who we are. We underestimate ourselves as women. Most of the times we think men should be in the leadership role, and yet women have what it takes to lead. There's the issue of personal governance, where we need to have our values, need to know what rules should guide you in your life. There's the issue of us setting goals, where we need to have goals and have an action plan on how we're going to achieve the goal. So we need to be systematic as women. Ladies and gentlemen, I know there are a few gentlemen who are on board. It is always important to have goals that are realistic. Don't set goals that will be too high for you, because they will demotivate you in the process. And the action plan that will help you to achieve the goal. Remember, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step, and most of the times, if the goal is too high, you find it becomes difficult to even take the first step. There's the issue of us being the best version of ourselves. I like that. Most of the times, people find themselves competing. I want to do as so and so. I want to be like so and so. It's good to emulate those who do well, because they motivate you to achieve more. But at the same time, know your strengths and be the best version of yourself. And there's the issue of women in boards. Dr. Marikanda pointed out that in board, you should guide and not delve into management issues. I think that is very important. Most of the time, we find ourselves entangled in issues that do not particularly pertain to board, but that are management issues. And she said you should not pick up a fight that you are not going to win. So don't fight with management or with other people in boards, but rather guide and give direction to those that are in the board. I think there's a lot of positive things, positive items that were mentioned by our speakers. I particularly want to thank them. Watsanai, I want to thank Petronilla, who ably represented Rumbidzai, and also Dr. Marikando. Thank you. I think every one of us has something to take home, and we look forward to the women in this platform to mentor the young people as they come, as they start in their leadership roles from very early ages up to upper echelons. So thank you so much, and goodbye. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you, Madam. I know that when somebody has done their closing remarks, and this is my vice president, you're not supposed to say a lot, but this one, I thought everybody needed to hear it in case you're not looking at the chat platform. Somebody is saying, honestly, if women can stand out and believe in themselves, then this cry to say AdvanceHER won't be necessary, because they are standing in for their charge. Who wouldn't hire or appoint Dr. Marikanda for leadership roles? So let's show our mettle as women, and all will fall in place. You will never need any advocacy in empowering women, but rather girls or young women. kudos to Dr. Marikanda. We started with a prayer, ladies and gentlemen. So allow me to invite once again Mrs. Kusangaya to give us a closing prayer. Mrs. Kusangaya.
Let's bow our heads again in prayer. As we close this wonderful WIGA seminar, Lord, we come before your throne of grace again. And we want to thank you for the useful ideas that we've all gained and the information and the nuggets that we are going to take back to our workstations, that we've all benefited from these presentations. And as we go on our separate ways, Lord, go on before us and bless each and every one of us. And most importantly, bless the speakers, the presenters who are presenting today. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mrs. Kusangaya. We need to be prayerful. It was indicated in one of the presentations. You've been such an amazing crowd. Thank you very much, women. Let's go out there and show that we are great. We are a great force to reckon with. You can fly high as much as you can. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful afternoon, and we hope to interact again in similar circumstances. Thank you very much.